So here's the pandemic carry job that everyone forgot about. I think it's pretty safe to say that 2024 was the year of Drew McIntyre. In my opinion, he was the most consistent performer all year round, even though guys might have had higher peaks than him. Chamber win, great character work on TV and social media, the rivalry of the year with CM Punk, a Money in the Bank contract win, even though I don't think they needed the contract to lose its prestige for another year, and even a World Heavyweight Championship win to his name. That lasted no time at all. And genuinely, I think this guy might be cursed because just when you think it's his time to travel the world and be the guy, something happens. Whether it's other talents coming up or someone outshining him, we've never gotten to see him have an actual run with it. And now you start to wonder, when's the first time he's able to be world champion in front of a packed house? The first two times he won the WWE Championship, there's a major COVID tax attached to both title reigns. First of all, who wants to go back and willingly sit through pandemic WWE? And secondly, Roman Reigns coming back that summer basically overshadowed all the work he put in. Everything started with a moment years in the making. Drew McIntyre finally becomes the WWE Champion, main eventing his first WrestleMania, and the person he beat to do so was Brock Lesnar. I'll always maintain that if this had a full house, it would be a top tier ending filled with emotion, pyro going off in Raymond James Stadium as the prophecy is fulfilled, but McIntyre did this in front of no one. So he's done it for the first time, and minutes later, out comes the Big Show. The Big Show scampers on down to challenge him for the title, which is unbelievably weird. They aired this the next night on Raw to make it clear that Drew would be a fighting champion right off the hop. He kicked out of 88 F5s beforehand. But then came his first true challenger, the Monday Night Messiah, Seth Rollins. Another really fun run that gets overlooked because of the COVID tax. Also the fact that he fought the Mysterios for 2 years. I don't know. He was obsessed with people embracing his vision and said that Drew wasn't destined to be champion. He was doing the fans a service by going after that title. That came to us at Money in the Bank, and this one's an absolute clinic. Drew during this run doesn't have bad matches. It's just not a thing. As far as his first contender goes, this was the right guy for him to be in there with, and I'm surprised it was just a one and done. This had the legs to go on for longer. After the match, McIntyre wins, Seth shakes his hand, and it was so confusing to watch because you started to wonder if that was it for his heel run. This was easily the right opponent for him to face. I recommend you check this one out. Also check out the SummerSlam and Clash of Champions matches against Randy Orton. They're both really good. The next one to step up was Bobby Lashley in that weird transition phase where he was Lana's husband but also with MVP by his side. This rivalry had a big emphasis on Bobby's full Nelson, how destructive that move was, and how MVP offered his hand in helping Drew before his match against Lesnar, but he didn't take it. Both of them wanting to tear each other to shreds, powerhouse versus powerhouse. I remember these two's rivalry a lot more from 2021 and all the weirdness that happened with Miz cashing in and Lashley winning the title more than I do this rivalry. Pre-match, Lashley locks in the Hurt Lock, which wasn't actually called the Hurt Lock at this point. This is a physical match with McIntyre eating a lot of punishment in the early goings and at ringside. Both of them kicked out of big power moves at one all the way through. This is a solid clash. If we could see the body map, all the parts would be red. That's how much they grinded each other down. But of course, you get to the most 2020 finish. Lana comes down, goes flying off the ring apron. Claymore, literally, see you next year. There's a lot of things that mesh into one from this era. I, for one, didn't remember that we had ourselves the tag team of R-Truth and Drew McIntyre against the original two from the Hurt Business. This was a tag team match for the WWE Championship where the champion didn't need to get pinned. Truth got the win for his team and assumed that he was now the WWE Champion. This was abandoned pretty quick and didn't result in anything, but the one decision that I do like is how they explored his old partnership against Dolph Ziggler. This is a rivalry you guys have watched time and time again, one guy telling the other that you're only here because of me. The match was made for the horror show at Extreme Rules, with Dolph being allowed to pick any stipulation he wanted. Ziggler time after time said that Drew became entitled, he was everything that he once despised, but the question was, how would he react when he brought back a ghost of his past? Heath Slater had been released by WWE just a few days after WrestleMania 36, so they drew the parallels between Drew's firing and Slater's. He said that he called McIntyre every day, and he asked him where he was when he needed him the most. Slater wanted the match that Drew promised, and that went just as quick as you think. Getting into Extreme Rules, I don't remember anybody really knowing what the stip was going to be. After all, we had an eye for an eye match where the winner would literally be decided by gouging out the other guy's eyeball. And to be quite honest with you, we actually got a really entertaining match. This match is Extreme Rules, but only for Dolph Ziggler, so Drew has to adhere by all the normal rules, and it's fun to see Ziggler cheat all the way through while Drew has to go at this with normal rules. He retains the title, they run it back the next night, only this time Drew picks the stipulation. WWE, being as creative as we know they are, just go the easy route. They have another Extreme Rules match for the WWE title, and this one's also solid. It feels like up until this point, there was just rivalry after rivalry, not a whole lot of meat on the bone, but the matches were always good. Then came the defining rivalry of this title reign, and one that, again, because of COVID tax, no one ever talks about. Of course, I'm talking about when Randy Orton winded the clock back and became the dirtiest, nastiest, most sinister he's been in years. We saw the rebirth of the Legend Killer, where he punted everyone in his path. He killed anyone who stood before him. He again became the arrogant asshole that everyone loved. His character work, his promos, everything he did was god tier. You know his promos are great when he just starts yelling and becomes insanely psychotic. The Randy Orton 2020 Renaissance was actually brilliant. I love when rivalries kind of backtrack to things that have happened early on in someone's career. This one had that because Drew said that Orton was handed everything because of his name. He got chance after chance despite getting away with borderline fireable offenses, that he went through nothing. He didn't face the hardships. He didn't have to try to make it as a first generation superstar like he did. Randy then decided to clap back by saying that he wasn't fired because he was more valuable than everyone. What happens next? Randy Orton decides to destroy senior citizens. Christian, dead. Big Show, dead. Ric Flair, dead. Shawn Michaels, dead. He just kills someone, flee the scene with McIntyre having the blood on his hands. This was easily the match of the year at that year's SummerSlam, which I know isn't a high bar, but every time these two met, they had really good in-ring chemistry. There's nothing flashy about it at all. It's competitive, the pacing is good, Drew is bloodied, Randy's fighting with the dirty playstyle, taking out refs and attempting punts. This match shows that you can have an awesome match without landing a single finisher because it ends pretty randomly with a backslide. Drew retains the championship, and now Randy has to go back to the drawing board. He has to conjure up a new sinister plan to take away the WWE title, and Randy's plan is to just kill Drew McIntyre. Not once, not twice, but 3 times on the same show. He punts McIntyre, spams these throughout the show, sending him packing in an ambulance. Only for Drew to return in said ambulance 2 weeks later and beat Randy Orton down like he slept with his wife. This guy hits a hat trick of claymores throughout the night since the story was Randy broke Drew's jaw. This is why this version of Drew McIntyre was so awesome. A lot of the times with these anti-heroes and these faces that are so likable, they make them fall into all the stupid traps. I mean, let's keep it real, Kevin Owens is probably the only guy who knows what's going on. Anyways, we get to In Your Face Monday Night Raw, whatever that is, and the title picture at this time is Orton, McIntyre, and Keith Lee, who had just made his debut. They run an angle that if Lee beats Drew, he'd have a chance to wrestle for the WWE title at Clash of Champions. He beat Randy in his debut pay-per-view match. That's basically the end of their attempt to make him a main eventer. They were also hell-bent on making Retribution work, which was a bootleg Temu Wish great value version of the Nexus, and it was really bad, so it ends up being the entire roster defending their home turf against this ragtag group that no one takes seriously. We get to Clash of Champions, and guys, overall, this is actually a good show. The triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship, Roman J won, and the Orton and McIntyre ambulance matches are all a blast to go back, and I recommend you do, all for different reasons. All of them give you something different. The Ghost of Christmas Past for Orton come out one by one. Everyone who he wronged gets a chance to beat him up. First, a goateeless Big Show stops the punt, steel chairs, crutches, car doors being broken down. Then Christian shows up backstage to attack Randy Orton and get his pound of flesh. Dude knocked him so loopy that Orton went for a pin in an ambulance match. These two brawl to the top of the ambulance and Shawn Michaels spawns to hit a sweet chin music and Orton dies. I think McIntyre punts Orton, and this man is sent to the Shadow Realm, driven away by a 94-year-old or somewhere close to that Ric Flair. Really fun match, a lot of shenanigans. Again, this is one of the few matches from the Thunderdome that you should check out. The next night, Drew McIntyre holds a WWE Championship Open Challenge, with the person answering that being Bobby Roode. WWE booked this whole title reign as no matter what happens to his body, no matter what happens to his friends, Drew would defend the title no matter what. On the same episode of Raw, we take a trip to the retirement home, otherwise known as WWE Backstage. The legends are sitting together, they're having a little get together, playing poker, having some drinks like old timers do. Randy Orton, to get even after the legends got even for what he did, dresses up as a janitor with night vision goggles, and he puts everyone to sleep. The lights go out, and now they have to scrape these poor legends off the floor. God knows what he did to them. The next couple weeks heading into Hell in a Cell is filled with a lot of finisher hits. Randy actually pinned Drew in a tag team match, which was very surprising considering how well he was booked. A lot of brawling, and the central theme was McIntyre's legacy. If he can do this, he's truly beaten the legend of all legends. These two end up getting the main event spot at Hell in a Cell. It kicks off with a pre-match brawl because Randy Orton dresses up as a cameraman. This, again, like all their other matches, is very enjoyable. There's a ton of weapon usage. The ending is Orton knowing that he can't beat McIntyre without going to great heights, literally, so he lures him to the top of the Hell in a Cell. Drew crashes and burns. There's nice little callbacks to things that have happened in the other matches. But in the end, this psychopath Randy Orton wins the WWE Championship. Randy winning here, honestly, I feel like didn't do any damage to Drew's credibility because he went down looking like a badass. For the year Orton was having with the Edge rivalry, everything that was going on here, even if it was just a couple days, he deserved a title reign, and it was just that. Short, sweet, nice little reward for Randy before Drew picked it up again. Both of them go in and out of this rivalry looking fantastic. Drew's first title reign lasted 214 days, and I want to hammer home that this was not a good time for WWE at all. Nothing of interest was happening. One of the very, very few bright spots from this COVID era was Drew's title reign. Him and Randy Orton carried Raw from the summer for the next 3 months. Rivalries against Rollins, Orton, Lashley, even the Ziggler one was alright. Just 20 some odd days later, they put the title back on Drew, and since it's my video, we're gonna cheat. We're gonna do both of the reigns in one video. The second one's not really as impressive as the first one. Randy Orton was scheduled to take on Roman Reigns heading into Survivor Series. The Miz entered the title picture after WWE took the Money in the Bank off of Otis. For the next little while, it was a continued tease as to when he would cash in. They did the switch. Randy Orton went on to fight and burn the Fiend, while Drew went to take on Roman Reigns in an awesome champion versus champion match. Then comes the final Tables, Ladders, and Chairs pay-per-view. The opponent was AJ Styles, who won a triple threat match to get that title shot. The thing that sticks out like a sore thumb in this second title reign was this was very half-baked. They didn't really seem to care. It felt like they were just going through the motions and went, oh crap, we brought the Money in the Bank back into the picture. Now we have to follow suit. We have to find a way to get it in or out. That was basically the big element in the Styles feud. The main storyline element in this rivalry is that AJ might just be a little bit sharper than Drew. It's a TLC match for the championship. They make things far more random and convoluted than they need to be, because there's basically two matches in here. The first is very slow for what a TLC match should be, AJ and Drew, and then of course the Miz shows up, cashes in his Money in the Bank, and this becomes a triple threat. Omos comes in, romantically pulls the Miz off the ladder, Drew goes Super Cena 2010 and wins it. Anyways, the worst part of this entire thing is just 2 weeks later, after they supposedly finished off the Money in the Bank, they go back and they give it right back to the Miz. The logic is, since Morrison cashed in, Miz can have it back since it wasn't him who handed the ref the contract. One day Money in the Bank will matter again. One day Money in the Bank will build up new stars again, and we will all rejoice. One thing that I feel like is missing from this second title reign is a one-on-one matchup with Sheamus. Whenever these two go at it, it's fun, and they tease this rivalry. Keith Lee kept telling Sheamus to watch his back and that he'd turn his back on him any second he could. Lee ended up winning a #1 contenders match to face McIntyre on the first Raw of 2021. This was also the Legends edition of the show, so once he retained, out came Goldberg to challenge him to a match at the Rumble. The reasoning that he was angry was that he thought that Drew didn't have respect for all the legends on the show, even though, like, 3 months ago, he was literally defending the honor of the legends. Lovely logic, sure. We ended up losing about 2 weeks of build because McIntyre tested positive for COVID, so he was cutting promos from his living room. You just never knew with this company at this time, especially when Goldberg was around. It didn't matter, new act or old act, he could take the title at any moment. Thankfully, McIntyre came out on the better side of this by beating him. I like the pre-match beatdown, which makes it so he's fighting from underneath. Drew kicks out of everything thrown his way, and 2 Claymores later, that's the win. At this point, you'd think that he's carrying the championship into WrestleMania of that year, but instead, they decide to take the title off of him at the next show. Post-Rumble, Sheamus turned on Drew, and 100% they should have ran this matchup one-on-one for the championship. It looked like we were going to get it at the Chamber, but instead he's booked to defend in a stacked Elimination Chamber match, which he won. He entered third, he lasted the longest, only to be cashed in on by The Miz. He becomes the transitional champion of all transitional champions, only to get it on to Bobby Lashley, and that was the end of Drew McIntyre as WWE champion. Between WrestleMania 36 and WrestleMania 37, he held the title for 311 days, and throughout so many different rivalries, the consistency never wavered. His character work was very strong, the matches delivered every single time. The best moment was the initial win, the best rivalry was with Orton, and the best match was against Seth at Money in the Bank. The second reign wasn't anything to write home about, but all in all, it feels like all this time has passed, and no one ever puts respect on this guy's name for just how special he made the WWE title feel. And again, now the question is, when does he have a proper world title reign in front of packed houses all across the world for the first time in his career? I hope you guys enjoyed the video. In the comments below, leave a title reign or run that you want to see covered in this series. See ya.